field to start off, or footy.
Oh.
One of those 3-stage platforms, 3 platform stages.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
All right, let's get started. Get your popcorn ready for that top 8. Big melee EU players that are present today. Starting off above against a bad player, aka Vobble. You know, making top 8's obviously really bad.
That's a rough miss. Dying at 40.
That's not great for the moral. Let's say that.
No. Because Puff, despite what was once a popular belief, Puff does in fact live forever, so...
Right, interesting. So yeah, a little bit of a lead for the mouse main above.
Yeah.
They've been grinding like I've seen Wobble and above basically everywhere. They've been grinding. Not much at offline tournaments because you know it's still very early for that. But yeah, they've been online grinders for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to look out. I think like this matchup, from what I've seen, really just boils down to kind of control of your spacing.
Yeah.
Both these characters have really good drift, and with Marth's like range from every direction, Puff predominantly it's the back air that gives the range, and it's got that disjoint that her other moves don't have to the same degree. Whereas obviously Marth's moves are all very disjointed and all have really good range. So how Marth can move in and out of Puff space, I think, is going to be like the deciding factor for this set.
Definitely. And we already saw just before that above does have those you know, those pivot conversions, and it's going to be huge for him. That neutral B is also going to be huge if they start to using it early, because it's really going to scare Wobble to get on the platform and just start shielding, which is usually an option that's extremely strong. But right now, they're showing how confident they are in that matchup, huh?
But look, yeah, it's looking particularly strong. I'm very impressed. He looks comfortable. That's like the weird thing. You never see players feeling comfortable against good Puffs.
Yeah.
They're always looking a bit shaky, but Aber's like, he's coming out swinging.
Ooh. Almost had the good idea, just not using it a bit too early, trying to bait Wobble.
Yeah. Or he didn't get, you know how with Marth if you like input like far right just as you up B, you can add a bit more length to your... I wonder if that's what he was trying to go for.
I think so. It's been a bit of a freeze on my end. I don't know about you.
Still running fine on my end. I was caught off guard by Wobble's he did a I'm all flustered, sorry. He did a random up smash in the middle of nowhere, so I wondered if that was maybe just like a jump up air, and the up air was just to kind of catch something. But that'll close out that game. Two stocks to Bev. Good solid start for him. He looked very comfortable that entire game. Although I will say he did get that fortunate lead from Wobble's big missed rest.
I mean, he knew how to take advantage of that you know, of that miss, and I think with the how do you say it, with the online era, I think people have abandoned that idea of like, oh, I should homie stock. I think that's dead, and I think that's good, because I think that's better for competitive, you know, integrity.
Yeah.
And like no one gives stocks away anymore, and I think it just makes everything more competitive. So I'm glad. I think especially like the sleepy kids are just like, I do not know why I should give a stock away.
I think as well, like not having the player sitting next to you it's a lot more real when they make a mistake. I feel like your empathy kicks in when they're right there and they're like, you know what, I'll return the favor. But when it's online, it's like, are you taunting me? You know, you don't know.
You're just a ping ball to me. You're no one.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, and right now above, like those forward smashes are just hitting. They're just hitting. He knows what to do. They know what to do in terms of DI. Perfect conversion there on the back throw. He's gonna mix it up, and yet controlling the space so well.
Yeah, this is looking incredibly dominant. What the heck? That looked like that was by the book.
Yeah.
Every single move he did was correct for the percent that Puff was at. And then right at the very end, that felt like the perfect percent for the F smash too.
Yeah, above definitely one of those like really textbook smart, which I think is really good as smart. You need to be textbook if you want to be consistent. Don't go too custom, especially especially against Spaces, as we were talking about earlier. And right now, he's showing that against buffs you gotta be tech to do. You can be a bit tricky in the neutral especially, but on the punish you gotta be on point.
Yeah. And I think people take that very, very seriously against Spacies, but then other matchups, Marth seem to like let loose a little bit, which I don't think works out in their favor.
Because they've got that syndrome. It's like, oh, so everyone's so cool. Look at Falcon, look at Fox, look at Falco. I can do it too. And then they're like, you know what? Grab and it's simply waiting and forward smashing is pretty good too. So
Yeah. I think a lot of players have this issue with Melee where they try and approach every matchup like the same way. And then they get good at one matchup, and then they complain about the other matchups. But then you have the really good player that gets good at one matchup, and then they recognize that they're good at it because of the work they put in, and apply that to every other matchup.
Yes. But I think we're starting to drift away from that as people have more and more resources, with coaching especially, in terms of mentality.
And like access to so many good players of different characters. It's no longer that you have to like travel half the country away to get good, Mario practice.
Yeah, Sleepy is definitely a blessing. That's the least we can say.
It really is.
Alright. But still dominating on that, especially on that Dreamland game. Like, usually Dreamland is a really, really hard stage for Mars in general, but especially against a floaty like Puff. And, Vomel is having a really hard time making it work. And just, he's just getting... Like, nothing seems to be working for him, which is really hard mentally.
Yeah. It doesn't feel... Yeah, he can't get in. That's what it feels like. It feels like just a bear has a very good understanding of how Wobble's trying to move, where he can go in, where he can't, and Wobble's just like throwing out hitboxes, just trying to catch him. But a bear's playing so safe and so restrained that he's just not getting anything.
There's going to be a 2-0, and now, I hope Wobble takes a bit of time to, recompose, think about what happened in those last 2 games. The first one, it started off kind of bad for him. It's understandable that it kind of snowballed, but then the second one is just like, what happened on Dreamland? I should be at least, very, very close of like winning this map.
Yeah. I think as well, like the slower paced matchups like this one, or at least more neutral heavy, maybe is a better way of putting it. Whoever has the lead definitely has a big advantage.
Yeah.
And both those games, first game, it kind of felt like a bear stole the lead. But in the second game, he just kind of ran with it and took it. And Wobble was just trying to bridge that gap the entire game. So it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see if Wobble can claim an early lead and see if he starts to like effectively use his defensive tools and doesn't end up just trying to get in the whole game.
Yes. Because Marthas are really good at like faking like they're going in and then just like fading back, especially with that Nair. Like Nair feedback is amazing as a tool to make it seem like you're going in and then just being able to whiff punish. And right now it seems like, Wobble is just falling in the trap. And already an unfortunate, that spot
it's looking like it might be the same as last time as well, where it's just Wobble's just trying to catch up.
Yeah.
It's
like it's hard because when you're down, you're like, okay, I need to come back, but you can't be too anti either. And Aberv is taking advantage of that to the highest degree at this point.
Yeah. Bear is calling out so many. He's making so many reads on like Wobble's like habits. Like he's going for very specific things. Like there was a stock earlier where he jumped behind and then he would up B to catch him jumping out of shield. Like it feels that Bear's playing very intentionally to call out certain habits. But I'm not really seeing that from Wobble. I don't see him like going like, oh, Marth likes to do this in this situation, so I'm gonna purposely call something out. It feels very just imagine if you're playing a player that's not as good as you and you don't have to think. It feels like he's approaching the matchup like that. It's like, I'm not thinking about you, I'm just going to do my Puff things. And
he's playing unranked, and you can't play unranked in a top 8 tournament, especially of this caliber. It's tough. Like I think it's one of the the downfalls of unranked, or when you're playing like constantly against someone that's a bit worse than you, is you kind of get into that habit of playing very autopilot. And Above seems to have that mentality where like, no one, I should like, not be comfortable against anyone. I should be playing my best, and it seems to be working for them right now. Although a bit of a you know, a bit of a gimp. Well, no, not really a gimp at this point from the Vaubourg.